Caravella Coffee Talks are back, a space created to speak with thought leaders, to exchange knowledge, and share perspectives.
In these talks, the relationship building team invites you to attend sessions with female leaders in the industry.
We will hear about their aha moments, life lessons, breakthroughs, and how we can make coffee better together.
Over the years, we have seen how the representation of women in the industry has gained traction and has flourished. Join us for some inspiration.
Hello, my name is Marisabel Vasquez, Marketing Manager at Caravella.
Hi, my name is Ana Sofia Narvaez, Relationship Builder at Caravella.
We want to welcome you to our second episode of Caravella's Coffee Talks, Women Make Coffee Better.
In today's conversation, you will hear from our former relationship builder, who was based in Colombia, Salomé Puentes, and Lisa Lawson from Scotland, co-founder of Deer Green Coffee Roasters in Glasgow and the Glasgow Coffee Fest.
They speak about how the wine industry inspired Lisa to build a coffee company in Glasgow, and how the coffee industry in her country has grown and evolved since then to the point that is now a mainstream conversation. She also talks about the power of community building, network, and sustainability-driven companies to make the coffee industry a better and more sustainable for everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lawson and I'm the founder of Deer Green Coffee Roasters. We're based in Glasgow in Scotland. I also am the founder of the Glasgow Coffee Festival and I've been working in coffee on and off now for about 21 years. So yeah, a long time. I've had lots of experience of different parts of the industry. And yeah, mainly my passion is for roasting coffee and tasting coffee and sourcing delicious coffee.
We have talked before about the interesting fact that you have been the first doing many different initiatives in the coffee industry. So sometimes we kind of think that it comes out of a chance, but we know it is not just the person, is the team alongside that's making things happen. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about how did you become part of the coffee industry, and a bit about all of these first times founder initiatives and things like that?
Sure. Okay. So I don't really know where to start. I guess my first coffee job was when I was in Australia. I was a backpacker and I was just looking for some money to pay some rent so I could travel somewhere else. And I ended up getting a job for a guy called Toby and working in his garage, which was up a little side street in the red light district of Sydney. And it was just Toby and I roasting coffee on his 5 kilo ProBat coffee roaster. And this was in the year of the millennium, and it was the year of the Sydney Olympics. It was a really exciting time, and the company is Toby's Estate Coffee. So I didn't go traveling. I just stayed there and worked until I got chucked out of Australia and had a brilliant experience. It was a time where I was working for a startup coffee roastery. I learned that coffee was from different origins. It was a cherry. It grew in wonderful countries at high altitudes. It had so many different flavors and varieties, and I just fell in love with the products. And I didn't have that knowledge of coffee before. So yeah, I had a brilliant time in Australia. I was really young. I had great fun. I worked for an amazing family-run company who I'm still very, very close to this day. And they taught me a lot. And when I left Australia, I was always looking to work in coffee again. But when I worked in New Zealand for 6 months, then I came home to Scotland, and there was no one doing anything like what was happening in Australia. The coffee culture there was so much more advanced. And in Scotland and the UK, we had the big chains, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was our coffee culture. There weren't really any boutique coffee roasteries, independents or anything like that, freshly roasted, single origin. It wasn't really, even in the conversation. So I was still pretty young then, and it took me a while. So I worked in the wine industry for a while, and then I came back to coffee. And the only way I could work in the industry and, I roast coffee the way I wanted to was to start my own company. So that's what I did in 2011. But you know, you said it's like down to chance, and it was a little bit for me. I think there was already a culture of coffee roasteries opening in London. I remember going to visit a friend and going
Yeah.
to St Ali and seeing that they had a Probat 12 kilo roaster, and going to Caravan when it was at Exmouth Market, and they had a 12 kilo Probat roaster. And I just thought, okay, I learned on a Probat roaster in Australia, this is what I've got to get. So I ordered one, you know, and that was just the start of a real culture in London. And I just wanted to start it in Glasgow. So if I hadn't have done it, someone else would have done it. So the fact that I was first really is not, you know, it's just the timing, you know, it was good timing.
It takes, I think that we often think that, but it also takes this stubbornness to decide and go for it. And not everyone has that. So, yes, but no at the same time. It's about what's coming from you and your passion, and how far would you go to do what you want to do,
Yeah.
to accomplish that. So you had all of the experience of these other roasteries, the coffee culture in other countries, and then you came back to Scotland, and you were thinking about how to create some sort of space where there's actually a coffee culture. Why don't you tell us a bit more of your thoughts when you arrived to Scotland, and how did you like try to start moving around and connecting people?
I think because I worked in the wine industry and I worked in cafes in Scotland, then, you know, Scotland's quite small, and Glasgow as a city is quite small when you're in a city centre. And, you know, once you build up a trust and you're part of a local network, you have that going forward in whatever your next role is going to be. So if I was always customer facing, you know, then I had that to take on to my next job. So when I started Dear Green, I'd contacted my wine customers and asked them if they would buy my coffee, so that, you know, and these are customers that we're very used to having like an Italian branded coffee, and suddenly you're like, oh, you can get this locally and it's freshly roasted. So it was just a different type of product, and it was creating an education so that customers could understand that this was something new and something wonderful, and getting people excited by it. And then it became infectious, and the culture was growing around us when we started. But then I really noticed that in terms of the coffee community, there wasn't really one locally, but I had been to lots of coffee festivals in Sydney and Melbourne, in London, and yeah, I really wanted to people of Glasgow to understand the culture was like, and that the coffee community was a really cool community and full of nice people. So instead of me going to London for everything, I wanted to bring a little bit of that to Glasgow. So in the year of the Scottish independence referendum, I thought Scotland has to have its own coffee competition. So I started the Scottish AeroPress Championship. And I remember people turning up and thinking they didn't know what was happening, and they didn't understand what an AeroPress was, and but they came along because it was fun, and there was music and beer and food and a little bit of excitement. So, and after that, I started the Glasgow Coffee Festival, which again brought local cafes and roasteries together, but also brought the wider coffee community to Glasgow. So importers, exporters, La Marzocco supported us right from the start, espresso machine manufacturers. And then we also had specialty coffee. Yeah, like especially coffee association competitions started to be featured at the event every year. Yeah, and it just grew every single year. And with that, the growth of the local coffee scene was happening in parallel to that around Scotland, as it was in every country, I think, in the world. That there's specialty coffee shops everywhere now. You don't have to worry about where you're going to get your next good coffee from. you can
Yeah.
usually find one.
That's really really cool. So from the start and people coming and joining and trying to get together and understand the dynamics of it, how have you seen the coffee industry evolve in the past years?
I think right at the start, locally, it was a very small network. We used to have an event called the Coffee Jam, and we would meet up once a month, and it was just a bunch of local coffee geeks. And we'd look at grinders, or we would cup some coffee together, or yeah, just talk about coffee and, you know, be a bunch of passionate people together. And now it's almost like a mainstream conversation. Everyone's sharing on social media their latest coffee they've had, where they've had it, what bean it was, what
Yeah.
process it was, what variety. So now you know, it's hitting the mainstream coffee consumer. And I think, you know, last year with the pandemic, that's accelerated even more.
Yeah.
So we've seen like it just being like a small network to a more extended network of baristas, and now to home brewers, and everyone investing in their own coffee journey. You know, if they're upgrading from ground coffee to having their own grinder and grinding their coffee, or from going, you know, to a supermarket blend to going to a single origin from a local roaster. Or maybe they've gone from, you know, just filter coffee at home, and now they have an espresso machine or an automatic filter machine, or whatever they've done, they've upgraded, and they're enjoying the product more, and they understand it
Mhm.
more, and they're hungry for more knowledge and more information. So it's an exciting time for coffee.
Yeah, and it's an exciting time for a company to be growing differently.
Yeah.
So how about the challenges and the changes for the company? So you have created many initiatives alongside the team and the people you have been close to. But from the side of your company, what have you been seeing as different, as opportunities that have arisen through this time?
I think, you know, last year was really tough for absolutely everybody. It was really tough.
Yeah.
And when we were told that hospitality had to close in the UK, that meant that we lost our business. So this business we'd built up, you know, this is our 10th year now. So we were in year 9, and it was just like a wall crumbling down around us.
Yeah.
So we went from 10 staff to two staff, and it was really tough. But we've changed our business model. We had to become an online shop. We already
Yeah.
had e-commerce set up. There's a brilliant team here at Dear Green, and last year we worked towards our BCorp certification, which helped us have a framework to invest in our team as well. So, you know, the guys here, I gave them the option to have furlough or to work, so that they could decide for themselves what was right for them, because everyone had their own anxieties around what was happening in the world, and some people needed to come to work and some people wanted to stay at home, and government guidelines were encouraging everyone to stay at home. So we had a very minimal coffee roastery production, and we serviced online sales. So now we became an e-commerce business with a small amount of wholesale.
Yeah.
And we just have recently come out of lockdown in Scotland and Glasgow. We were in lockdown since the hospitality was closed since October.
Yeah.
It opened briefly in the summer and closed again. So we're now having to bolt our old business back onto our new business, and that's a challenge as well. So we're continually looking at processes, procedures, efficiencies, trying to find the easiest way forward, that is going to be the most efficient for staff, so that we don't end up being burnt out because we're working so hard. So we don't want to be exhausted. But we need the time to stop and pause and to assess what we do and find the best path forward, and also to look after our customers. Like we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our customers. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our team. So these are the most important people to us, and they are guaranteeing the future of this business. And I think we're in a really great position now. We feel really strong. We're ready to grow again. And we've got some fantastic coffees. I'm just looking at them right in front of me beyond the screen just now. I've just got pallets full of delicious coffees, all new crop coming in just now. And yeah, it feels like a good time and a positive energy right now. I'm feeling very optimistic, and that's because of what we have gone through. We've all faced adversity, and we've all worked super hard, and we've looked after one another, and we've got through it.
Yeah, that's so interesting as well, because you're reaching the point where you found more flexibility and a different way of working together and maintaining the business. And you mentioned that as you were going through that, you were also going through a change, which is becoming a BCorp certified company.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about why was it important for you as a roastery, as a company, to become B certified? And well, you already told us how that influenced and gave you a frame of reference on how to handle situations with your staff. But tell us a little bit more about the certification and what does it mean for you as a company to have reached that step.
Yeah, so I didn't know much about B Corp until we updated our website with our ethics page, and a customer in our coffee bar said to me, you should go for B Corp certification. So I looked it up and read about it, and the more I was reading, I was thinking, oh, we do that, and we do that, and we already do that. And I thought, all right, yeah, this is achievable actually. So it's not like we had to change our business. We just had to document what we already did. Yeah. So it was, I don't want to say it was easy, because it wasn't. It was it is a rigorous, but it was a rigorous process. We updated in terms of our procedures, policies within the company. We updated our staff handbook, our company contracts. We legally changed the structure of the legal accountability of the business to be for the benefit of stakeholders and not shareholders. So, which is about being driven, by people and not by profit. So that is the main mantra of B Corp, is people and planet before profit. So I think if you look after your people, you're always going to be in profit. You've just got to always keep your eye on the bottom line, which we always have. But we paid living wage since day one. There was I can't think of any reason why you should pay someone not enough to live on. So I don't think that's a question that anyone should ask. I think everyone should get paid the living wage. So we already had a lot of that in place, and now we have more staff wellbeing perks for staff. In terms of planet, we've always been really environmentally in our roastery gets reused. Every sack that we use here, we sell online for £1, and that money has always gone to Girls Gotta Run charity in Ethiopia. So we've donated thousands of pounds to them over the years. We've signed up to 1% for the planet, so 1% of our revenue goes to the planet. We give to the World Coffee Research Organization, so 2% of our turnover goes to charity. And now we're looking into how we can help developing countries have the vaccination and donate to these charities just now, because we are so privileged to be in the UK and to have the vaccination available to us. And I'm about to have my second, and other countries don't have that privilege and that wealth. And I've just digressed completely, but we started the B Corp accreditation process, the impact assessment, November 2019. So we actually had to put it on the back burner a little bit last year because everything changed in March, and then everything
was happening.
Yeah, exactly. So once we had time to build the team back up again, and I was able to step out and look at it and proceed with the certification. So I'm so glad we achieved it. And to be honest, we've only just scratched the surface. We only just passed. So you have to get over 80 points out of 200. And what is exciting for us is we have a template to follow. When you start a company, you don't know how to run a company. You're learning every single day. So now, you can actually look and see what is the benchmark for, the best way to treat your staff, or the best, the best way to achieve carbon neutral. Everything is in there. Everything is documented. We're already community focused. We're already trying our best, but now we can document that and we can prove it, and we've audited by a third party, and we're very proud, and the whole team is very proud that we've got to this point.
It's what you said. It's not only about the good intentions, but having a frame, a reference that not only helps you align, but helps you measure and gives you a path that you can follow, and you realize that it happens the same time. We are always like on track, but we always have so much improvement to go for, like so many other opportunities, so many other important facts and important situations to take care of, which is really, really good, because it's not only about being good in the coffee industry, but being good for the world, for the people that we're working with, for the coffee producers. So for all of the context that a company can have, and all of the connections that a company can have. And you mentioned that this happened because you published your work ethic. Would you tell us a bit more about like the principles or the guidelines of the work ethic within the company?
Yeah, I guess, well, we have a work ethic, which means we work super hard. But in terms of the other ethics in the company, I think a lot of what we do is just, a lot of it is based on how I've lived my life, and then that's become part of how the company culture is.
Yes.
And I hadn't quite realized it until you document it. Or you don't realize that you're doing something right until you see others doing so much wrong. So, I think, like, I don't throw anything out. I'm a hoarder. So everything here, if we're going to throw it out, it has to go through a rigorous, like, can we reuse it? Can it be recycled? Can someone else reuse it? Should we sell it? Should we give it away to someone else and it has another life? And so in terms of waste, we don't have any waste here. All the chaff from the coffee roaster byproduct always goes to local allotments. So that's, again, been part of a community and a network locally. We've always gone to origin because we want to, the logistics and the infrastructure, every coffee farmer, not even every country, it's like every farm, and then within the region there's small farmers, large farmers within every region, within every country, and every country has different logistics and dynamics of how they can get that product to market. So we've always invested a lot in having that understanding. I think we've always wanted to have a lot of integrity in what we do. So to do like the the SCA authorized trainer scheme, so that when we train people, we can give them a formal certificate that is internationally recognized. Or I've done the Q grader course because I want to sort of self-development, to feel confident in my ability, and also to train my palate further. And doing the sensory courses through SCA. So all of these things, everything we do, I think, is always, it's all about your why. Why are you doing this? And, we want to have the best coffee we possibly have. We want to roast it to its fullest flavor potential, for it be in its freshest state when the customer gets it, and to have minimum impact to the planet, and for our staff and customers to be super happy. I mean, that's why we have all these ethics in place. It's why we donate to charity. It's why we support local networks. And yeah, our ethics page is super lengthy on our website. If anyone wants to check it out, we need to edit it down into subcategories actually, because it goes on and on and on. And then, yeah, I guess BCorp has managed to help us quantify a lot of the statements we make as well.
Have you seen that being outspoken and engaging with people and telling them about the work ethics and showing them why it's important has helped you create a loyal customer base?
Yeah, I'm sure it has. I think, we have a very genuine online voice. So what we do, everything we do is from the heart, and it's truthful. We're quite humble. There's no arrogance. We're just a bunch of people who love coffee, or passionate about coffee, and we want to promote that, and includes people in our network that are interested in that. You can't please everybody all of the time. So if we want people who are aligned with us and who want to support a good business.
That's awesome. And lastly, would you share with us any revelation moment that you had within this whole process?
I don't know if there's there's so many, I want to just say Cropster changed my life. Cropster is roasting software, and these guys are geniuses, and they impress me every week by the updates they make. And I always said that Cropster was my first employee because it allowed me to roast coffee whilst packing the beans at the same time, rather than plotting a graph on graph paper. I think the coffee industry has advanced so much in the time, in this, the small amount of time, there's 10 years that Dear Green has existed. And, where everybody's we're in a race almost, because there's so much happening all the time and you can't keep up with everything. So there's been lots of moments like that, with roast software and cupping coffee, and just learning that if you alter a roast by 10 seconds, you can change a flavor and bring out a flavor you didn't even know was there. Or you can mess up a roast and then you find out there's a flavor that you wouldn't have planned to do a roast that way, and then but you've got it documented because of Cropster. And there's so many. There's so much. I don't know where to even start. The people I've met through going to Origin, actually visiting, going to Africa or Latin America has really changed my life. To see, it gives you a bigger reason to sort. Gosh, I don't know. I get too upset when I speak about it sometimes, because I feel like the reason you source good coffee is just because you've seen how much it can help somebody and their family.
Yeah,
it really can. It's ridiculous. Even contemplate when someone's just sitting drinking a flat white in a cafe here in Glasgow. They have no idea of that supply chain sometimes. And so I've seen a lot, and I've been to a lot of countries around Africa, and been to Guatemala was one of my first trips as well. 2014, I think I went to Guatemala and Mexico. That's a huge education for anyone. I think everyone should travel. Probably not particularly good for carbon footprint or for in times of a pandemic, but if you get the chance to visit a coffee farm, to visit a developing country, and to really experience the life of a coffee farmer, it's super important, I think, to have that comprehension of why we do what we do. Yeah.
And would you give yourself, what would you say to Lisa starting the business from this perspective now? What advice would you give yourself?
I suppose I've developed a lot over time, and I'm more of a team member than I am a leader. I've just been roasting coffee all day today. And so, yeah, I'd probably want to set up the company slightly differently and would do less myself and maybe create more jobs, and the company would have grown faster possibly if I'd done things differently. But, I probably wouldn't do it differently now because I needed that time to learn as well. So
don't be afraid to take the time to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And to ask for help, and also to admit that you don't know something, and find someone who does know that and get them to help you. Maybe to outsource some stuff, or I probably take on too much. I think a lot of business owners do, a lot of women do, and you don't have to do it all. It's good to reach out and have help, and to delegate, and to trust your team as well.
Definitely, yeah. Well, that's awesome. It is very important to know that when building a business. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to chat to you. It was really lovely to meet you.
It was great. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem at all. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching Carabela Coffee Talks.
And stay tuned for next episodes coming up in the next few weeks.
We will continue featuring incredible women leaders that play important roles in the industry, such as coffee roasters, agronomists, researchers, green coffee buyers, coffee producers, importers, and leaders of powerful organizations.
In future episodes, we will talk about setting up successful coffee businesses, growing in coffee, the evolution and development of different coffee scenes and geographies, science, hopping, the force of good coffee production, among other relevant topics that are challenging the status quo to make coffee better.
To learn more about the coffee professionals behind each talk, visit our website and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube channel. See you next time.